All right, with us now, CNN political commentator Bakari and the executive committee chair of the New York State Democratic Committee, Christine Quinn. Christine, I'm going to start with you because you're here with me. No offense, Bakari, but Christine is, 2 feet from me here. I want to take a step back before we get into the substance of what she just said and talk about this reintroduction, as Sarah and Harry are saying, back on the stage for the vice president with this book with all the revealing tidbits. How does it make you feel in general? You like how it's going?
I am not a fan of tell-all books. I'm not a fan of airing dirty laundry out in public. If I was somebody that Kamala Harris was going to make a phone call to, I'd be very careful what I said, because obviously she is very comfortable making private conversations public. I don't think this was a good way to come back onto the stage. I think she sounds bitter, and I think in the Rachel Maddow interview she tried to soften some of the sharp edges, but I don't think this was good politically and not a good strategy.
Bakari, what about what Christine just said? And also, what about the substance of what we just heard from the former vice president? The idea, in essence, of not making the perfect the enemy of the good for Democrats.
So first on what Christine just said, I don't really think that the former vice president cares a lot. I think that she's in a position now where she wants to speak her truth, and she's tired of being put in a box by whether or not it's commentators or whether or not it's political strategists or whether or not it's people who think that they know her best or have her best interest. And so there's nothing in the book that she said that was false. I think that you see the indictment on certain people like Gavin Newsom. When she called Gavin Newsom looking for his help to run for president of the United States, she couldn't even get a phone call back. And so when you have those things, when you have your truth, I'm not a big proponent of people not sharing their truth. I mean, sometimes we just have to swallow it, and Democrats for far too long have played afraid when it comes to that truth. The vice president and I, we just had this conversation about the future of the Democratic Party last week. And it's a unique conversation because she hit the nail on the head. We're not doing a good enough job putting our leaders on a platform where they can talk about the successes we have. I'm talking about Frank Scott in Little Rock, Helena Moreno in New Orleans, Randall Wolfen in Birmingham, Brandon Scott in Baltimore. These people, these mayors, these city council folk, they're doing great work. We have the people out front who are doing great work. And oftentimes we get bogged down in the 5 or 6 paragraphs that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer want to put out when we need real fighters on the front line.
Bakari, I want to go back to something you said, which is really interesting. You said you don't think the vice president cares a lot or cares anymore what people are saying about her, which is so interesting because every losing political candidate I've ever covered or had a chance to hear from after a big campaign, it turns out after the fact, they come across as so much more genuine and in some ways interesting and less inhibited when they have, forgive my language, no more F's left to give. I remember being with Mitt Romney after he lost one of the presidential elections that he lost. And he was funny, personable, engaging, sharp in a way. He let his hair down, which is hard for Mitt Romney. But in this case, you see it again from the former vice president. I want to play an exchange she had with Rachel Maddow overnight. It had to do with a section in her book where she's describing her reaction to when Donald Trump on the campaign trail said that Kamala Harris just decided to identify as black. Listen to what Rachel Maddow and the former vice president said here.
Quote, today he wants me to prove my race. What next? He'll say I'm not a woman and I need to show my vagina? I don't even know if I can say that.
He throws this stuff out that he thinks will be an individual's weakness or Achilles heel, with the intent to distract from the fact that, as it was in this campaign, he had no plan for actually bringing down costs and prices for the American people. He had very few plans for what he would actually do that was about the American people and not about an execution of his vengeance on his enemies. And I wasn't about to fall for that bait.
The story itself, and Christine, I'll go to you first on this, just the use of the V word there, which I won't say on television, but it's funny. It's funny. It's a side that people may not have seen before.
Well, you know, when I relate to the when you're running for office, when I ran for mayor, you have a million consultants in your ear. You're trying to walk this exact, you know, balance beam of perfection. And when it's over and you've lost, you're much looser. And if anyone who's running for office could be that loose when they're running, that's authentic. That's what people like. And you can say vagina and you'll still be okay. I promise you, John.
Bakari, where are you on all this? And you've been through this before yourself, Bakari.
Yeah, I mean, there is a great deal of freedom when you lose. I mean, I think that's something that comes along with politics. But this woman is dynamic, and I think that whether or not, for better or worse, people are still learning a lot about Kamala Harris. She only had 107 days to run for president of the United States, and they're seeing the person that we all know to be funny, to be sharp, to be witty. And it's unfortunate sometimes that strategists put you in a box, or sometimes you find yourself putting yourself in a box. But this is a good. Kamala Harris may not run for president of the United States. She may not run for anything else again. But if she's going to speak her truth, I think the Democrats need to learn from it.
Christine, Quinn, Bakari, it's great to see you both this morning. Thank you very much.